Awesome, I am really excited to have this guy. This is the Mezco Hellboy from Hellboy 2 The Golden Army, an action figure that released in 2008. This is a figure that I remembered finding while I was on vacation one time when I was like 10, and I thought he was really cool, but I had to put him aside and get a different figure instead. After years of searching, I finally found a Hellboy. I actually have the Abe Sapien from the same wave already, so I just gotta keep my eye out for that Liz. I think he's great, I've been seeking him for so long. Let's just get into this. Mezco is a really interesting toy brand. They seem to be really 50-50 when it comes to articulation of their toys. This is probably the most articulated figure from them that I have. They kind of suckered me with those Breaking Bad figures that weren't actually figures, so I've learned from them in the past, but I'm pretty impressed with Red actually. His expression is one that looks pretty good, but I don't think that likeness really matches Ron Perlman. It looks like he was based on a different iteration of Hellboy, but he's got some really nice shines with that red paint. Some markings all around. There's a little marking there on his chin, and you can see that there's one on his jacket there as well. But he was brand new, sealed, so I don't know if those markings are intentional or not. He's got some articulation within his arms, and it's different on both sides. This arm here can just move up and down. There's also some rotates in there, and his elbow can bend too. There's also some rotates in his hand there. It's a really stiff, solid piece, but it's cool that it can move around. His other arm, on the other hand, can just go a little bit up and out, and it can spin around a little bit. There is some rotates in there, okay cool, but there is no elbow bend. It's a little disappointing. You can kind of have this arm in a pretty good resting pose, but you basically always have to have his big arm in like an action pose. So that's a little disappointing. The details of his big arm are really cool. It's quite a lot of indented design there. It would have been neat if there was some articulation in his fingers. It would have been really cool if we could actually manipulate that hand a little, because this hand can't hold on to any of his accessories. He can also rotate at his spine, but I don't think his waist can really do anything. His legs here have some pretty standard articulation. They can go out. They can also rotate as well. Really thick leg pieces, and he has some knee bends too, as well as in his feet. His feet can't rotate, but they can slightly go up and down. His tail on the back also has a bit of articulation. It can rotate around, and it can spin in 3 different locations. This one's not budging, but at least this one here can rotate. So you can have it out the jacket like this, or you can have it hidden inside the jacket. And speaking of the jacket, probably my favorite part are the details of his holster and his jacket. It is a different feeling material entirely, as you could see, compared to the rest of him. The rubber material helps to bring out a contrast between the rest of him. I really love that jacket. I'm not sure if material like that lasts very long. I don't really have a lot of toys that utilize this type of rubber, but I think it's really good. His accessories are his big baby shotgun and his Samaritan revolver. The detailing on this one in particular is really surprising to me. It's got a little decal there of Big Baby. It has a strap, which I'm really not used to action figures like this having details like that. Some nice weathering details as well, so that it looks like the gun has actually been used before. Incredibly enough, this gun actually has some articulation where you can open it up and you can load it with some bullets. I'm very impressed with this. I really do like this. As for his revolver, very similar in its details. Some really good details there as well. That gunmetal gray, and it just looks really worn and torn like he's been using it for years. It can also open up inside. It's so good. He's minor on the accessories, just these 2 weapons, but they are very well detailed. They might be some of the most detailed guns that I have. Getting him to hold his accessories is a little tricky. I wish his hand might have been rubberized or something, or it's just a really stiff plastic to try and get his weapons in, but I'll try and get his pistol in here. Squeezing it in, there. I've had some practice. So he can hold it, his finger can go around the trigger as well. It looks pretty solid. His pistol fits into his holster, but this is where everything kind of gets a little cumbersome. The tail gets in the way, and the jacket gets in the way, and his big fist gets in the way. But that can open up, and his pistol can just kind of slide in there. But this is about as far as I've been able to get it. You can see it kind of gets latched onto the edge there. There's enough room underneath for sure for it to move a bit more forward. That's about it. It can barely close up. It kind of gives off this illusion that maybe it should be able to latch close, but it definitely can't. But once you kind of wrap it under his jacket, it's pretty cool. Now his other gun is also a really tight fit. It's such a tight fit that, I'm sorry, I'm not willing to try and squeeze it into there right now. Best you're gonna get from me for now is that he has a strap, and it can kind of wrap around his shoulder, or he can kind of hang it down there. What I've been doing is really carefully trying to have a balance in his big fist. You can almost see, like, it almost works, kind of, but you'd have to really push it in, and angle it, and that's definitely going to break something, but it fits in pretty nicely right there. If only it was a little bit tighter. So I've been having him kind of like this, where it is just sitting there. You can see slight movements mean that it's going to come loose. But maybe after I've had him open for a good couple of years, maybe then I'll try and squeezing this one into that little hand. That's my look at the Mezco Hellboy toy that was released, the Hellboy 2 The Golden Army, in 2008. This is a figure that I have been chasing for years, and I am not disappointed by him. His articulation's a little stiff and rigid sometimes, posability's a little tough when it's mostly just bends or some parts that don't have bends, but I love the materials and the details that are provided to the jacket and the weapons especially. I love his red coloring paint, I love how much of a brute he appears to be. I'm really satisfied with this guy. I would love to take a look at some more Mezco figures, so maybe I'll do just that, but for now, thank you very much to anyone who has watched this. Subscribing and liking really helps to support this channel. Thank you very much.